The air crackles with unspoken truths, a silent scream buried beneath decades of carefully constructed narratives. We thought we knew the story of Tupac and Biggie, the East Coast, West Coast rivalry, the violence, the legends. But what if it was all a carefully curated lie, a smokescreen hiding a far darker reality? Enter Gene Deal, not just a random hanger-on but Diddy's former bodyguard, a man who witnessed the rise and fall of Bad Boy Records and is now a whistleblower ready to expose the myths. He was meant to play a central role in 50 Cent's highly anticipated Netflix documentary on Diddy, a project promising to reveal the mogul's secrets. Yet, when it dropped, Gene Deal was conspicuously absent, erased, silenced, because he knows too much, holding knowledge capable of shattering empires. Gene Deal's revelations send shockwaves through the very foundations of the hip-hop world, exposing truths far more explosive than anything 50 Cent dared to include in his heavily censored documentary. While the official story frames the saga as a coast-to-coast war, fueled by ego and rivalry, Gene tells a different tale, one of calculated moves, deliberate omissions, and a web of deceit orchestrated by Cent Diddy Combs. It wasn't East Coast versus West Coast, he insists, but Bad Boy versus Death Row, a personal vendetta between Diddy and Suge Knight that spiraled out of control, claiming the lives of two of the greatest rappers ever. His account challenges the entire narrative, forcing us to confront uncomfortable truths about our idols and the industry, revealing how the documentary sanitized the past to shield powerful figures and omitted crucial details like the fact that Gene Deal alleges that Diddy refused to send a representative to a Death Row orchestrated peace summit, a meeting that might have prevented the bloodshed that followed. He claims Diddy was even present at Quad Studios the day Tupac was shot, fully aware that an ambush was imminent. Picture the tension, the city's muffled sounds seeping through Jimmy Henchman's office walls, while Diddy, who built his empire on artists like Biggie and Craig Mack, is allegedly there not to protect them, but to spy, driven by paranoia and greed. He was reportedly told Tupac was about to be taught a lesson for disrespecting henchmen. Instead of warning him, he allegedly remained a silent observer to the tragedy. This isn't mere gossip. Gene's account is backed by first-hand experience, years of observation, and a deep understanding of the players, revealing the jealousy simmering beneath Diddy's polished facade and his resentment toward Tupac's natural charisma and magnetic appeal. According to Gene Deal, Diddy envied Tupac's effortless ability to command attention and captivate women without relying on wealth or power, and this envy, Gene argues, fueled the animosity that ultimately led to Tupac's demise. It paints a dark, disturbing picture that shatters the mythology of hip-hop's golden age. The most damning piece of evidence, Gene claims, is $1 million check, a tangible symbol of conspiracy and a blood-stained reward for silence. He witnessed it firsthand, paraded like a trophy on 112th Street with Barry Hankerson and Jimmy Henchman funneling money through Blackground Records. 1,000,000 reasons to stay quiet, 1,000,000 reasons why Tupac's murder has remained a mystery for decades. The audacity is staggering, and this wasn't some shadowy back-alley exchange. This was calculated, public, and brazen. It wasn't a briefcase of unmarked bills, but a check, a paper trail with a digital footprint leading straight to the heart of the conspiracy. One that could be unraveled with a simple trace of the funds, yet no one seems willing to look. Then there's Biggie, the Brooklyn-born lyrical genius gunned down in Los Angeles, a casualty of a war he may not have fully understood. Gene says he was there that night too, watching warning signs flare like red flags in the California breeze. Unique, a drug kingpin later locked up alongside El Chapo, sent a chilling message. Fessed up. Chaz Williams echoed it soon after. They're coming to y'all. Gene tried to warn Diddy, but his words were ignored, brushed aside like a nuisance, leaving tragedy to play out in real time. Diddy didn't want to hear it and refused to acknowledge the danger, determined to attend the party that Clark Kent later claimed was set up specifically for Biggie. The scene at the Peterson Automotive Museum was a powder keg, bloods everywhere and tension thick in the air. Gene, ever alert, had his gun drawn and hidden behind his back, yet in a move that defied reason, Diddy ordered him into the car with a cold ultimatum: obey or you're fired. As they pulled away toward a fate they couldn't outrun, shots rang out and Biggie was hit. Instead of rushing him to the hospital just 2 blocks away, they drove 30 minutes in the opposite direction, 30 minutes that could have saved his life and instead reek of deliberate sabotage. Gene's final words to Biggie still hang heavy, unfinished, echoing like a warning that came too late. "Let him go to sleep. Keep him up," Biggie's haunting reply. "Just do it." It's a tragedy layered with negligence, a cascade of choices that seem almost designed to ensure the worst. Gene doesn't claim Diddy pulled the trigger himself, but he asks a far darker question. If you set the stage for violence, ignore the warnings, and place people directly in harm's way, how accountable are you when the inevitable occurs? Diddy released Who Shot You, a track that taunted Tupac and inflamed the rivalry, refused to attend peace meetings that might have de-escalated the conflict, brought Biggie to Los Angeles despite repeated warnings, and was allegedly present while violence was being plotted yet did nothing. The question isn't whether Diddy fired the gun. It's whether he created the atmosphere, the conditions, the chain reaction that made tragedy unavoidable. Conditions that created the opportunity for both Tupac and Biggie to be murdered, and according to Gene Deal, the answer is an unmistakable yes. So, why was all of this missing from 50 Cent's documentary? Legal risk, questions of credibility, and the ever-present shadow of money. Gene wanted to be paid what he felt his story was worth, and 50, the calculated businessman, may have decided the price was too high. But truth behaves like a stubborn weed, always forcing its way through the cracks. Gene Deal, the man who witnessed it all, is determined to make sure the world hears his account regardless of the cost. The funeral flowers sent to 50 Cent in Miami were not just a threat, but a declaration of war, a chilling signal from a cornered force trying to control a narrative that is rapidly collapsing, an attempt to intimidate and silence anyone who dares challenge the carefully constructed facade. Constructed facade, yet the truth refuses to stay buried. It festers, it grows, it demands to be heard, and Gene Deal presents himself as the voice carrying it after decades of silence. He says he's finally ready to unload the weight he's carried and expose what he believes is the darkness that has haunted hip-hop for years. Consider the implications of Gene's claims. If Diddy knew about the Quad Studios shooting and did nothing, then he wasn't merely a bystander but, in Gene's view, complicit. If he created the conditions that led to Biggie's death, that goes beyond negligence into culpability. And if there was a cover-up involving silenced witnesses and a manipulated narrative, then the image of a mogul collapses into something far more sinister. This, Gene argues, isn't about old grudges or recycled conspiracies, but about confronting a truth the industry has avoided for far too long. This is about justice, about holding powerful figures accountable for their actions, and about finally uncovering the truth behind two of hip-hop's most iconic legends. The Keffe D trial represents a pivotal moment. Will the prosecution investigate Gene's claims, follow the money trail tracing that $1 million check to its source, or call Kirk Burroughs to the stand and demand to see his notes? The answers could decide whether justice is served, or if the truth remains buried under decades of lies. The stakes are enormous. The legacy of Tupac and Biggie hangs in the balance. Diddy's reputation as the mogul who built his empire on their talent is on the line, and beyond individual culpability, this trial challenges the integrity of an entire era in hip-hop history. This is about the culture that allowed the violence to flourish, the industry that profited from rivalry, the media that sensationalized the conflict. It's about confronting hip-hop's dark side, the greed, the violence, and the exploitation that have lurked beneath the surface far too long. Gene Deal isn't just recounting events, he's issuing a challenge. To the legal system to investigate thoroughly and impartially, to the media to report the truth no matter how uncomfortable, and to the hip-hop community to face its demons and demand accountability. The world is watching, the truth is waiting, and the time for justice is now.